My heart is broken, mother of Yemeni girl whose graphic starvation shone global spotlight on country's bitter conflict reveals daughter has died a week later aged 7 and girl from Yemen whose graphic starvation shone a global spotlight on the country's long-running conflict has died at the age of 7, her heartbroken mother has said. Amal Hussein became a symbol for the bitter proxy war when a picture of her emaciated body was broadcast around the world last week. Yesterday her family said she had died at a refugee camp 4 miles from the UNICEF clinic in Aslam where she was pictured, according to the New York Times which first featured the story. The fresh attention on the war comes as Saudi Arabia, which is leading anti-rebel forces in Yemen, faces ongoing global pressure over the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Amal's mother Maryam Ali told the newspaper, "My heart is broken. Amal was always smiling. Now I'm worried for my other children." At the UNICEF-run hospital Amal was vomiting and suffered from diarrhea while doctors gave her milk every 2 hours. She was suffering from severe acute malnutrition, 3 years after her family had fled their home to escape Saudi airstrikes. Her mother was also reportedly ill with dengue fever spread by mosquitoes in the camp's stagnant water. The family did not have enough money to take Amal to a Doctors Without Borders hospital 15 miles away, her mother said. Yemen's war has been particularly devastating for the country's children, over 7 million of whom now face food insecurity, according to the UN Children's Agency. Some 1.8 million children under the age of 5 are facing acute malnutrition, and 400,000 are affected by severe acute malnutrition, UNICEF said. The Saudi-led coalition in Yemen is fighting rebel forces who are seen as allies of Iran, which is Riyadh's major rival in the region. Washington backs the coalition, which is fighting alongside Yemen's government against Houthi rebels. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo this week called for an end to the Yemen war. They called for an end to airstrikes, acknowledging that the Saudi-led coalition was involved in the bombing of civilians. The death of Jamal Khashoggi in Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul last month, and the kingdom's repeatedly changing versions of what happened, have led to calls for the West to scale back its arms dealings with Riyadh. Many suspect that the kingdom's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, was involved in a plot to kill him but Saudi Arabia denies he had any knowledge of it. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has vowed that Berlin would not export arms to Saudi Arabia until the murder of the journalist is clarified. But French President Emmanuel Macron has dubbed such a move pure demagoguery, and Britain has urged caution. Merkel also said last week that Saudi Arabia must do everything to solve the urgent humanitarian situation in Yemen. There are currently millions of hungry people, we are witnesses of one of the greatest humanitarian catastrophes, she said.